Good afternoon and welcome to ITCM China 2020. We are in a very unique situation. We are all not in Shanghai because of the pandemic, obviously, and we are now coming to you virtually. My name is Noor from International Congress and Convention Association, ICA. I have three presenters coming from three different cities, but before I introduce them to all of you, I'd like to say that the title of the session for today is Reopening Business Event, What Can We Do Better? When we talk about reopening of business, what we see happening is that a lot of organizations are putting up guidelines on how to reopen their business, whether you are a venue in particular, whether you are a PCO, and so forth. ICA, with our friend association, AIPC and UFI, has also launched a good practice guide to address the COVID-19 requirements for reopening of business event. And this particular guideline can be found on the website of all the three associations, and this was launched in May. So not just the thing that we have produced here, but I'm sure that there's many other venues in all the cities in the world are producing the same. And when we talk about reopening of business, of course, we all are facing what we call the new norm. You know, social distancing or safe distancing, contact tracing, and all those hand sanitizing and so forth. These are very important, which some of my speakers will be talking to you about. We also have the gesture of speaking or not shaking hands, but using our elbow. And I also seen some people just shaking their legs instead of shaking their hands. So this is all the things that's happening because of the pandemic. I have here today, as I promised to you, is the General Manager of the Shanghai New International Expo Center, Michael Krupe. Michael, hello, how are you, Michael?
Hello, Noah. I'm fine.
And you are based in Shanghai, Michael?
That's right. I'm based in Shanghai with SNIEG now, CEO running this venue for the last 6 years, 7 years. And me personally, I'm already here in China for almost 30 years now.
I heard that before the pandemic, you somehow are in Europe and not able to come back to China.
Well, we were on an event actually in Italy. We were lucky enough to have a meeting with the Pope in the Vatican. At that time, Europe was in an early stage. It looked like it was safe, but China was not safe. So that time I was basically worrying of going back to China because China was somehow, in the first wave of the corona. Nowadays, things are totally different. So in February, I postponed my return flight to SNIEG, to my venue and to my family by 2 weeks. Luckily, not longer, because shortly after I returned, the borders were closed.
Wow. Now you are back in Shanghai, and thank you for joining us, Michael. For the audience, if you're wondering why I have these three different presenters, their similarities, all of them are doing business in Shanghai. So just like the ITCM show. My second guest is Jessica Chang. Hi, how are you, Jessica?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, you look lovely today. All of us look very healthy and very safe. That's a good sign. So, but you're not based in Shanghai anymore now, right?
Yeah, usually I'm based in Shanghai, and we have an office in Shanghai too. But I came back for my hometown, Taiwan, for Chinese New Year since January. So my mom and dad are very happy because this time I stay about half a year. It's longer than past 10 years, the duration in Taiwan. So yeah, I'm in Taiwan now, but I'm going back to Shanghai soon.
Great. I think, in fact, this is the one biggest positive thing I've been hearing about COVID-19. People are spending more time with the family. I'm not sure whether the family like it or not, but some of the kids say, "Wow, Dad, you are at home." But after 2 months, they said, "Dad, why are you not going out? You're still at home." So great to have you, Jessica. Thank you very much. And of course, my third presenter is David. David, how are you, David?
Good. Thank you, Noah.
I've already introduced you to the audience that all the three of you are Shanghai-based business people. But unfortunately, you are not in Shanghai now. Where are you?
I'm in Sydney. I stay with my family. Usually I travel between Australia and China, but since I think the end of the March, the Australian government already closed the border. So the government actually issued the alarm. It's like no Australian citizen or permanent resident is allowed to leave Australia, because they worry about like the people will come back and bring the virus back. So after lockdown, it's still waiting for the government announcement when the border is open.
So you are a perfect example of a person who are stuck in what we call the travel bubble.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So here you go. We have three specialists: Michael Krupe, the General Manager of Shanghai New International Expo; David Sun, Managing Director of MedPack Event; and Jessica Chang, the Managing Director of JCIM. So welcome to all of you. So for this session today, I will have my speakers to present their point of view, and then at the end we will have a conversation, and hope that we can also interact with all of you audience through the virtual world. If you have any questions that you can send to us, or you can even email to us. That's how we do now, because we cannot meet face to face. Okay, I will start with our first presenter. Michael, are you ready to share your screen and share your presentation, please?
Yeah, so allow me to share the screen. So, as I mentioned before, I'm in Shanghai. Behind me, you could see on my background our venue, SNIEC in Shanghai, 300,000 square meter venue. Can you see the presentation now?
Not yet.
Oh, sorry. Double click. I think now it should be there.
Yes, we got it.
Okay, so let me just quickly repeat what most of us know, but just to let you know what happened here in Shanghai. In February, basically government announced that all shows all over China, B2B, B2C, MICE events whatsoever, would be not allowed to hold anymore until further notice. And nobody knew that time how long this would take. However, right now, from the beginning, we started with all stakeholders, and that means us as a venue, the organizers, the government, police, public security, the health bureau, and so on. We already started in February to think about what would happen after the pandemic, which that time was not clear that it is a pandemic. But if we can reopen again, how can we do that? We all knew it must be more safe and it must be more secure, not only for us, but of course for everybody who set a foot on the show floor. So I think nowadays we're in a lucky position that Shanghai and China got the green light from government to reopen again. But that was on the basis of a document which the stakeholders I mentioned before developed together. And these points of that safety protocol, let me call it, contains a couple of measures how you should behave or how you should act, but they're all not rocket science. So it all depends on the discipline on any exhibitor, visitor, or even the construction workers which are coming to SNIEC to build up the show. And before I continue, I think the most important point to hopefully continue that the opening of the venues and the shows, not only in China, but all over the world can happen, is that we have to win the trust of the visitors, the trust of the exhibitors. Only when they trust that the venue, that the show is safe, I'm sure they will return. We are in a lucky position that our first show was June 27, so just about a month ago. It was a Semicon, and we had, I think, 20,000 visitors, which compared to last year was a minus of, I think, 50%. Last week, we had the China Beauty, which had the whole venue, and the number of visitors was still less than the year before by 10%, but we had almost 160,000 visitors. So that showed that step by step, the people, the visitors, the exhibitors gaining confidence and getting used to the situation. And that is, I think, for me, the key point, how we all should behave or manage an event, a show in such crisis. So what happened? The situation is what I just mentioned for us, for SNIEC, 25 events, as I mentioned here, was more than 1.1 million square meters. We try to postpone to the second half of the year. As SNIEC, and I guess some of you know our venue, we are right now one of the most busy venue in the world. Now there was no empty time slot in the second half of the year. So we really had a huge solidarity program here where we as a venue were leading discussions with other organizers and asking them sometimes to reduce their show by maybe 10%, sometimes to move forward or backward by 1 or 2 days. So to try to squeeze in some of the shows from the first half. And meanwhile, for the second half until the end of the year, we have a situation that we are even a little bit higher in occupancy than last year, because the second half now is so packed here in SNIEC that some of the shows from the first half even could make it to the second half. So the booking inquiries or the discussions we have reminds me of the time before Corona. People already start to fight for the best time slots, which I think is a good sign. But remember, we are not over. Yeah, Corona is still here, and we still have to maintain our discipline. And I think that is right now, especially in Shanghai, the most difficult part for everybody, to remind all of us that it's not over. We have to follow discipline day by day, and not only in the first or 2 months. So the management, the crisis management included a couple of points, and I put this here: prevention and control measures, which of course includes sanitary programs like washing hands, disinfectants for the hands, of course wearing face masks. We have on the show floor today, we have another show, the whole venue from Reed. It's called Daily Use Articles, 300,000 square meter, fully booked. I'm guessing the visitor number today is about 80 to 90,000. I was just finishing my tour. I spent 2 hours on the floor. I would say 95, 96, whatever, 97% of people are wearing face masks. Most of them in the right position. I mean, you still see some people wearing them, you know, just covering the mouth. Luckily, nobody with the eyes. I think that's everybody know how to wear a face mask. But still, some people, they leave the nose open. And only very few number, they don't have a face mask at all, which then, as I mentioned before, as a measurement, we have people on the floor, we have security and guards reminding these people to please wear the face mask. And unlike reports I'm hearing from Europe, maybe America, where people, when they got reminded, got angry or mentioned that they feel blocked in their human rights or their speech of freedom or whatever they call it, I really must say here in China, here in Asia, if I may say, everybody, really everybody is very disciplined and fully understand that wearing the mask is one of the most important measures to protect, to spread the virus. I have not seen anybody reacting angry that we reminded him to wear the face mask. So I think that's a good sign. And then, of course, it's not only about the procedures and the safety to go to a venue. It's also about, as I put in my presentation here, the food management, so the catering management, because food, as we have learned from the case in Beijing 3 weeks ago, obviously that time imported salmon. We don't know the real details, but of course, the food chain also must be controlled and managed. So the catering companies also must follow a strict protocol. Here in SNIEC, we have 53 food outlets. So you can imagine that day by day, hour by hour, we heavily and strictly control that from our side, but also the operators of the food shops, of the retail shops, they follow their own safety protocol. So that is something we are announcing publicly on our website here in China and Asia through WeChat, reminding everybody, please show discipline, please follow the safety protocols. So the next point I wanted to show, we have prepared a short video. I hope you can see the video. Can you see the video?
Yes, yes, you can see that.
Okay, so that is what we were starting 1 month before we could reopen the show. You can see how we are preparing before we got the green light to run. We had, not every day, but we had, I would say, once a week at least, a training with our staff that we said we have to be ready for day X. So when day X will come, and luckily meanwhile it came, we basically, as you can see in the video, were going through a different cleaning protocols. We were spraying the floor, as you can see. We are using face recognition systems here in the floor to, when people register, then they can be identified in case there's a positive case happening. We have special areas where people who go to our newly bought infrared check stations, if they're higher than 37.3, we have to bring them, and we will bring them to a station where they will be isolated. So all this is in place, and so far, luckily, after 1 month, not even one case happened. We are so far safe, and of course, we hope it will stay like that. So I'm just jumping now to the next video. I'm just reminding here in the video everybody to still wear the face mask. So now the next page is starting. Oh, it doesn't start. Excuse me. Now it starts. So the next video is actually shot during showtime. So that is a show, occupational and safety labor products. So that was exactly the first or the second show after we got the green light. So here you can see in real time what happened. People show their ID, people show their green code. They go, you see the infrared stations together with an X-ray. We newly bought these systems. We bought, I think, 80 units in Sneek because we are a big venue. People go then through the face recognition system. They are pre-registered, and I think, Noah, you mentioned that before. The big problem now is that international travelers still cannot come. Today on the show floor, I did the whole venue by foot. I was counting the foreigners, not even a handful of foreigners, at least Western foreigners here I could see. So the travel ban is still in place, and maybe there's a way, at least for business, for pre-registered international visitors, there may be a way that they could be able to travel here, in our case, to China, because with a pre-registration, you can be traced, you can be tracked, and it's not that you're a casual visitor, but that's another discussion. So yeah, that's basically the end of my, I think I've got exactly 10 minutes now here, except the end of my presentation, explaining you what we have done, showing you what we have done before the day X came. Now we open, and you saw in the last video what we're doing now day by day when we have showtime. And again, the main point for me is to win the trust of the exhibitors, of the visitors, because even you're opened, but the people don't trust that you manage your venue and the show well, nobody will come. And we will work on that day by day, hour by hour. That's all from my side. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Michael, for that wonderful presentations. And the second speaker that I have, our lovely Jessica, all the way from Taipei. Jessica, you've been dealing with a lot of the destinations, convention bureau from around the world, in particular, bringing them to China and also promoting China to the world. So, can you give us a bit of background how the COVID-19 has impacted your business, how this has impacted destination in promoting themselves, especially in the business event segment?
Okay, definitely. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica from ZCIN Destination Marketing Service. ZCIN is a company provide comprehensive marketing solution to destination marketing organization and CVB, Convention Visitor Bureaus. So in the midst of pandemic, I believe all the industry will have a heavy blow from the virus, including our company and our clients, our CVB clients and associations. However, I would like to share with everyone is in the midst of the pandemic, we still continue to win business and to secure incentive travels, including small to large one for the destination. I think it's because of the long-term hard work for sure, but it's also because of the trust. Michael mentioned that. I would like to emphasize this, and I would like to share what we do from a CVB perspective during when the virus start to spread, and until now, we are still suffering, the world is still suffering from the pandemic. I still remember in January, Chinese government just announced all the outbound travel was suspended. I still remember 25th or 26th of January. And of course, it happened. And we suggest our clients, our CVB clients, to immediately to change our priority jobs from promotions to doing all the biddings we assist our corporate clients, incentive corporate clients and travel agents, because they are suffering from the amendment, the cancellation, because that's one of the biggest season, Chinese New Year, and also for many some other events in China, in overseas as well. So that's how we quickly adjust our priority jobs to coordinate all the stakeholders and also the suppliers to minimize the loss from both sides. Because at that time, we still cannot forecast how bad it is and how the situation will be changed. So quickly, during the peak of the pandemic and lockdown in February, because the evolving situation, we need to take different approach in different stage of the pandemic and also in different market, because my company represent different CVB in Asia, not only in China. So in different markets, we took different approach. But during the peak of the pandemic and lockdown, the Chinese travel industry is bracing for a heavy blow as the coronavirus shows no signs of slowing. Although predicting the trajectory and the medium-term impacts still very difficult, and there are some actions we suggest to our CVB clients, and we at that time we think communication is the key, because for example, for B2C, we request and suggest our CVB clients to post all the China campaigns and to replace with message expressing support and providing timely information on medical centers, travel developments, and the local consular service at that time. And for B2B, Chinese tour operation were drawn with cancellation. So we providing understanding and refunds because we believe they can create a long-term goodwill with a cornerstone of China's outbound travel markets. It's also a moment we suggest all our CVB clients to internally reassess China engagement and strategy. We saw our Chinese clients and industry friends were suffering, and we really would like them to know they are not alone and we care and support them. So Melbourne light up our town hall to show our support and launch a campaign, Stronger Together. So we want to let our Chinese friends and markets to know that we are here to support. And Auckland, our other CVB clients in New Zealand also film videos and deliver message to show our support and to also make the industry feel they are not alone to fighting the virus. So lockdown becomes a new normal in Asia or in the world. We started to do webinars because we know we cannot stop, although the world is paused. So we started to do webinars, online training, and e-bid presentation. That's our first time to do virtual bidding presentation because we are still bidding for like 2024, 2026 events. So we do the e-bid presentation and the virtual site inspections. We also pushed by the virus to change our current job and to adapt to the new normal. So we in China, we on behalf of our CVB clients to do this service for our its clients. And in Taiwan, because the virus is contained well and there's no lockdown, and because of the habit and cultures, so people still they still need some face-to-face opportunity or in market marketing activities. So we organize some small, medium size, very small size training combined with webinars, and to give the most updated information about the destinations. I think it gives the confidence to the market to continue to deliver what's going on, what's happening in the destination, and how can we support. Meanwhile, we also suggest our CVP clients to adjust their short and mid-term Chinese marketing strategy and launch new campaigns to support projects to overcome the difficulties caused by COVID-19. For example, we increase online promotions and we reduce any negative image by building trust and content. We prepare a reformation by supporting mutual benefits within the MICE industry. For example, we adjust the criteria of groups we support. Before, maybe we are looking at a bigger size of groups, but now we support for any size of groups, and we increase the financial funding support and also the administration support for the future conference and the incentives. So we also we want to recover the MICE industry through a sustainable and eco-friendly global campaigns. So we also adjust and change and launch new campaigns to adapt to post-COVID-19. So I think that's also why we can continue to secure the business for the destination, not because of virus or just because of the border still closed. So all the business is stops. So we try to embrace the change and to keep positive and to adapt to, as I mentioned, the new normal. And I'm pleased that Michael mentioned about the trust and the discipline, because that's also for every single marketing activities we are running now, because the market is reopened. So we start to do some physical, because funny thing is we talk to various clients, including associations and insurance company, Weishang micro business in China, direct sale company. They say they are doing virtual webinars and that they have their own video room, but they still have the needs of face-to-face meeting or events. I think that's also the opportunity for us, for the industry, MICE industry. We still see the opportunity, so we just, everyone, we need to be disciplined, to be responsible for ourselves and also for the world, and to adapt to the new normal, and to how do you say, yeah, to embrace the change, and to also think about how the virus changed our world, our life, and how can we to make it better. Yeah, that's from my part.
Jessica, I think if the two words that I got from Michael is trust and discipline, from you, I think the two words will be communication and strategy. I think it is good to see that destination are using all the communication channel, keep their clients, their potential target customers to keep afloat with all the important news, what's going on. Because I'm sure that, you know, people are just ready to travel when things are opening up. You know, even like when I'm based now in Kuala Lumpur, I know when we had that lockdown in March, you know, you are all at home, just the feeling like what you are feeling in China or any part of the world. That when we start having the reopening, I can see that the first place that is full is the shopping mall. You know, people just want to go to cafes and restaurants, and I think people are all just itching to buy the tickets to fly out somewhere. You know, because you can only be sustained in your own city or country for a certain period of time. So thank you very much for sharing, Jessica. It's very candid. It's very true. I think that is the biggest challenges that all the DMOs or the destination marketing organization are facing. So next up is David. How are you, David, again?
Good. No. Okay. I'm David, David Sun from MacTech event. I have a very technical background, so it's very good presentation from Michael and Jessica. Then I understand so from my point of view, I would try to share some information I got from technical side and how we handle that COVID-19 stuff. Let me show my presentation. As you know, currently I provide software, the venue management software for more than 18 venues, event venues in China now. So luckily, all these venues spread out in China. So, but for confidential reason, I will not show the detail of how many events those venues currently have. But I do some statistics. I average them. So I pick up 12 venues from the 10 cities of mainland China, and 6 of them north of part. Well, we use the Yangtze River as the border. So north part of China and South China. If you look at the event here, so the first column actually is the total number of the average event per venue in 2019. So from the north, south, well, the venues in the south part is more events. But if you look at in January, the drop down. Now it's already past 6 months, and the countrywide average is only a quarter. So after 6 months, because this data maybe not the statistic data, that's the data in their venue booking software. So that actually they included some event already run or some event they book for the coming 6 months, so in this year. So from the data you can look at, it's the business slowly pick up, but still very far away from the last year. So the venues, they try very hard to reopen. But you also look at the data here, it's you find out more events incurred in the south part of China. So in the north part of China, because we look at in some city like Dalian, in Tianjin, in Yinchuan, and those cities still no event at all. The venue is not allowed to open for business. But in the east part of China, south part of China, in Shanghai, in Hangzhou, Shenzhen, and Zhuhai, they started to pick up the events. They started to have more booking in their system. So that is the first-hand data. Maybe we know the actual data at the end of this year, but this one is quite real. And from technical side, you will look at the things. Michael showed some video, we have the security guy to check and the visitors. But now all the registration company or venue, they started looking for some machine looks like this. They're not just a machine to read your temperature and alarm if your temperature is too high. They even have the infection tools. It's more you look at some movie, American movie, when you pass some area that is totally infected by some secret virus, but then they need to de-infect everyone. And they, of course, they have a face recognition, and they have the reader to read your personal ID and health QR code. So they make sure they can track you. They can stop anyone that carry the virus get into the venue. If something wrong, they can also check you. So it looks like China spent, I think, a lot of the registration company, they spend a lot of investment to do this, to help to do this, to manage the assets. Then if you look at the venues in city, like ICC City, I think ICC City is one of the venue of the ASM Global. So ASM Global actually issue a handbook they call Venue Shell. And the handbook actually is prepared under the guideline for different government. If you look at the ICC Sydney, they follow the guideline from the Australian government. So the Australian government currently, they have the guideline. I think I will summarize the guideline first. Every visitor need to install the one app on your mobile phone. They call COVID Safe. I think currently, I think last month, they already have more than 6 million population in Australia install the COVID Safe on your mobile phone. If you don't have the COVID Safe, you have to write down your name or details on a paper before you step in any indoor venue. But once you have the COVID Safe, you can go in there and without problem. So the COVID safe, the main purpose of the COVID safe is like to track the people. So the government want to track if someone get infected, and they will be very quickly to let the government know and who this infected person has a close contact. In the past, I think it's 1 month or 3 months. So only keep the data for that period of time. And if looking back the framework of the ICC Sydney, actually they very interesting. They break down the COVID safe program by 4 times 4, 16 components. So they break down everything based on like the visitor journey in the venue. So from plan your trip, on arrival, signage management, venue capacity. Currently, Australia have the rules say for indoor area, you only allow for 1 person for 4 square meters. And also the people need to keep 1.5 meters away. So they break down all this. And then for every part of this, they give very detail. They even draw a picture to show like what it should look like. Like for this one, like on arrival, they will show you like the queue, it must be 1.6 meters away distance. Then they will show the people, they have a security card to check your temperature, to count the people. And if you come in and they have the hand sanitizer, to make sure the people use the hand sanitizer. If you don't have the COVID-19, you see on the door, they have a green part, that's COVID-19 logo. So if you don't have the COVID-19, then you go to the reception desk, you need to write down all your details. For the venue capacity, as what I mentioned just now, Australian government only allow 1 person for 4 square meters indoor. So they even put down the picture to show you like how you set up your rooms and how you set up the chairs. And it's really interesting actually, because even though I'm in Australia, but I share the information, I look at like the moments on the WeChat with my friends in China. I found out actually in some events currently in Shanghai, in some hotel, they not really care about like the distance, the social distance, we say. This is like normal. The room setup is pretty much like normal if they run like conference or meetings in the hotel. But in Australia, it's by law, you need to do this. And also for the meeting and the conference, so they even show like all the layout for every time they run, before they run the conference or at the beginning of the conference or meeting, they have someone need to communicate the COVID safe program to every attendees, let them know like what you need to do, what need to be, not just about like equipments or medical hand sanitizer or stuff. They also really focus on communication. I remember like today when I drive on the road and I see usually on the sidewalk on the road, they would say, why slow down and don't speeding or something. But now they show it's like, wash your hands and be COVID safe. So they really focus, in Australia, they really focus on the education to everyone. So even my kids, my son now, every time he went back home, they will wash their hand immediately. So they become a habit. So look at the exhibition. They also show like when they're doing the exhibition and how do you pick up the car and and they make sure all the payment on the parking machine is contactless. So you don't need to use your finger to touch that. And they also have put up the vending machine to sell like masks. It's very interesting. Michael mentioned about like in China now everybody focus on masks. I think I also know United States now they think mask is important, but in Australia we still have a big argument. And I think now in the Victoria, because in the past since last week, Victoria have the second wave of the breakout. So now they say everybody need to wear the mask if you leave the home. Otherwise, you need to pay $200 penalty. But in New South Wales, still no. Not many people wear masks. So they still think like we have the COVID-19, we keep the social distance, that will be enough. So for the exhibition, also they show all the details, like how you check in and how to manage like the visitors. food service. Michael mentioned about the food service, about the supply chain perspective, but here, like, they're also talking about how to set up the room setup and how to set up the like hotel, cocktail, tea break, or buffet. And they have a very detailed to show this, like how to set up this. They even show like the detail is like for every food they serve to the table, they will have a cover to cover the foods. Make sure like the people like not spit like everything on the foods. So very detailed. Put it on the picture. Put it on this. I only show four of them. Actually, they have 16 sections. So the total handbook have 23 pages. If you like to look at the handbook, go to the ICC Sydney website and they can be downloaded. And also the handbook is not only for ICC Sydney. I think they prepare for ASM Global. So they're talking about like they maybe apply for more than like 300 venues, the ASM Global manage. And there's one thing called catch my attention is like, look at the details they prepare here. They're not just, because most of people will think like the COVID-19 is only a temporary situation. If you look at what like ICC Sydney doing here, I think they will see that actually as a new normal. They will not like take it for like 1 month or 6 months. They may use this practice for years. I think probably everybody remember it's like before 9/11, when we boarding the plane, we passed the security check. It was very easy. But now it's a new normal. Everybody knows that you probably need to arrive at the airport 2 hours before the plane departure. So maybe after 2 or 3 years later, when we look back on this, that's a new normal for the venue.
Yeah.
And also look at like another things for what happened in China now is that they call digital show or we saw virtual show. As you know now, it is a very hot concept now in China. Government invests money a lot on that, from like the Canton Fair, and from like they cooperate with the Tencent, and also the Alibaba cooperate with the Shanghai government, try to use like the called virtual show. And now the CCPIT in Beijing also launched the virtual show, and they use like CIEC, China International Exhibition Center, to build a virtual show. I still have a big doubt on the virtual show, the future of a virtual show. Actually, like in 2015, when I just come back to China from Australia, at that time, Alibaba was very interesting in the virtual show. But after 1 or 2 years, everything's like stopped. And they still think like show or conference, we need to see face and face. But this time, very interesting. Everybody talking about in our industry, when I talk to the venue, in Chengdu, when I talk to the venue in Tianjin, and when I talk to the venue in Shenzhen, everybody, they think about, oh, can we invest some money to do the virtual show? Can we do something about that? I don't know, being honest, even though I have a background about like venue management or event management technology for more than like 15 years now, I still don't know whether the virtual show is the future. But if the virtual show is the future, why we need the venue? Why we need to see people face to face? But on the other side, I see, for example, now we use Zoom. We use Zoom to have a conference. We have a Zoom to have a webinar and everything. So I don't know. I don't know. That's the big concept, but how long that can be last? And also, if you look at another things, like when Alibaba cooperate with the Shanghai government and how much they invest in that new company. I heard about it's only about 50 million RMB. Not a big money. 50 million RMB or 60 million RMB investment or like from Alibaba. So not a big money to invest in the virtual show. But that's something new we found out in this under the current pandemic. Well, basically that's all the things I can share. Maybe a little bit short, so I want to save more time if not to ask the questions. So, I think what I want to share with the audience is here is like, first, I think the industry is pick up slowly. The people will start to have like the on-site event. But since, as we mentioned just now, it's like international travel is a big problem. The country still close the border. But for domestic event, I think they will pick up very slowly and back to the normal. But another point I want to share is like the new normal. We're not just talking about is like that things that will happen about 10, like 1 month or 2 months, maybe for years. So the venue need to be prepared for this. Yeah, that's all I can share now.
David, thank you for sharing your presentation with us. I'm sure, just like me, all the audience watching this session have millions of questions of what you all are saying, from your presentation. I have a few as well, but one quick question I wanted to know, because all of the four of us are coming from different cities. Michael, when do you start opening up your venue for the exhibitions?
Well, the first show we had was June 27th. So yeah, for three weeks ago, that was the Semicon. And at the same time, we also had the labor product safety products, which was altogether, I think, 12 halls. So 3/4 of the venue was fully booked.
But were you open earlier on for maybe smaller meetings or conferences?
No.
No.
We had to wait for the green light from the government, and that came. And when that green light came, we still had to prepare for the first day. So no, could not.
How about David, in Sydney? When is the business event, especially venues and hotels, are allowed to run exhibition or conferences?
I think currently, actually the Australian government put stages to release the business. I think currently Australia in the stage 3. So I think stage 3 started from the 1st of August. That means like they can start it to run indoor event, but they must follow the rules. It's like 1 person per 4 square meters. I think currently they can allow to run. Oh, okay, yeah, that's the rule now. But since we have the new wave in the Victoria in New South Wales, so we don't know. Maybe the rule will change again. We don't know now.
How about you, Jessica, in Taipei? Do you see that exhibitions, venues, hotels are allowed to host events already?
Yes, already. Because actually there was no lockdown in Taiwan. So even during the peak, government only suggest indoor meeting above 100 people or outdoor activity above 500 people, not suggest. But people are very disciplined in Taiwan because of the pain from SARS and the lesson from SARS. So people are very behave. So although it's not forbidden to do it, people did try to do it virtually. And since because we had this 0 local case for more than 2 or 3 months, so now all the conference events are reopened. So there's no restrictions in Taipei or Taiwan.
Right. At least for the audience notes, the opening up or reopening differs from one place to another. Even in one country, one city to another might be very different because of the situation that you have to go through. So, I think the first conversation I would like to have with all my speakers here, do you think that in terms of the business event, are we opening up too soon? Because we have seen pockets of a second wave, like in Beijing, like in Victoria that David mentioned. I think even in Malaysia, where I'm located, we have a second wave coming in Kuching, Sarawak. So, are we opening too soon?
Shall I start again?
Oh.
So I don't think we open too soon. And I had this question already from many journalists in the last 2 or 3 months. My counter question was, please define what you mean with a wave. Yeah, for me, a wave is a big thing which is collapsing somehow. 15, 20 people get infected, as bad as it is. I do not call this a wave. That is still, well, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert on that, but that's still some kind of isolated cases, which of course is important to trace and to track back, which if the number is low, it's relatively easy. Of course, if it's 10 or 20,000, it's difficult, and then it's a wave. That's my personal definition. So looking at the numbers here in China and Shanghai, I don't think we opened too late. I think the timing was okay here to open in June.
So what you're probably saying also is that maybe the term wave, like the way you asked back to the media people, is it the word that being created by the media people saying wave to make people a bit scared or a bit more caution? Because we had gone through the experience, where a small number of people got infected by COVID-19, and then because of this small number, if you don't curtail them, it become a big number by hundreds and by thousands. And when we talk about second wave, if you start small with 10 or 15, you don't know how many people that they have interact that possibly would have a larger impact. So maybe this is a word that the media is using to sell out, saying that Beijing have a second wave or Victoria have a second wave.
Yeah, if you're talking about Victoria, because why we say the second wave? Because the first wave at the end of the March, and Australia have the daily cases is about like 500. Yesterday, I remember like Victoria now have, I think it's 484. And between that period, I think Australia almost get to that below 20 nationwide. But yesterday, I think Australia is more than 500. So get another peak. I think the major concern for the government is like, it's not just about the case. It's about like a lot of cases they cannot identify where they come from. It's a local acquired. Okay. So that is the fun. But still under this, can I still say it's not too late to open the business? We still need to open the business. But you cannot. The whole country, the whole industry already shut down for 6 months. So I think that's we'll make a joke with the friend, is that starving to death, get wires to death. What percentage you hire? Starving to death, 100%. But you got the COVID-19, maybe 1%, less than 1%. So you have to. If like currently the government, if you can track the infected person, you can prepare, you can educate the people. If the people have like any problem, they don't feel well, stay home, don't step out. We need to start a business. Otherwise, now the Australian government, they say they use the JobKeeper money to give like most of the employee in the service industry. It cannot be last for long.
Yes.
So you have to open.
Okay, thank you for chipping in as well, David. So during all the 3 presentations that you all have been doing, you one of the words that crop up so many times is guidelines. In particular, a venue, or even if you talk about public places, shopping mall, you need to have a guideline. But then in our business event or in our meeting industry, we are going to prepare for the international opening, the reopening and the travel bubble. Right now, the guidelines are conforming to the local rules, which is approved by the local town council or the local health authority. That's what's happening, I think, all over the world. But in preparation for the international arrival, do you think that there is a need for an international accreditation for guidelines?
Okay, let me start first again. Well, I think very hard to say. Again, every country, every city is different. So we even have in China, we have this green code, this health code showing where you have been. And even every city have a different code domestically. And there is a national code. So I'm actually holding the national green code and thinking that this is higher than the city or municipal green code. But the fact is, most people in other parts of China don't even know that national code. So I think it still will be a micromanagement code system necessary for each region. So I don't think it's possible to roll it out on the country level.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Jessica?
I would like to suggest ICA maybe can consider to set up like a guideline for COVID safe conference. So all the conference who would like to apply to be ICA, to be qualified ICA listed conference, they have to be COVID safe. So you can you can set up the guidelines for all the conference. So yeah, seriously, I'm thinking because although all the country they have different how to say guidelines for the events in their country. It depends on the how good how contained the virus it is in their country. But in general, as we are talking about new normal, so a safe conference will become a new trend, and we cannot avoid. So for the international global organization, maybe we can consider what kind of guidelines or what kind of we can like list it for all the conference to be considered. At least you have to meet all the periods, like yeah.
Thank you for the suggestion. You know, maybe ICA can lead up to a safe conference, code of ethics kind of thing. You know, I think that's maybe something that we can do. In fact, ICA Congress this year, we will be doing hybrid because the Congress will be in Kaohsiung. So, you know, we know that our members in Taiwan will be able to meet and gather, but members from the rest of the world are not able to fly. Hopefully by November they can, but if that happens, then we can meet up again face to face. But David, what do you think of that particular space or area?
I think definitely, well, it's a good idea. As I would say, that situation will not finish or end it in 6 months or few months. We need to prepare. It's like that may last for years, or maybe become a new normal. So for ICA, if ICA association can do something like what Jessica say, like COVID safe standard or something, that's definitely good. But I think the main challenge is like how to cooperate with every local government, because every local government, every city, they have the new regulation. Like in Australia, the government keen to set up the framework, but industrially set up more detailed practice guideline. But in China, if you look at some city, they just say no, ban, no event. I don't care about what kind of like procedure you set up. So it's most challenging actually is like how the association to lobby or collaboration with do some cooperation with the local government and every city to do this. Even as Michael said, even in China, you have a national QR code, healthy QR code, you have a city local QR code, not recognize each other. So even though ICA would build the practice, would build a COVID safe practice or something, but we still, maybe we can like talk to some city first, maybe Shanghai, maybe Beijing, some like the major city in China, and let them to accept our practice or the guideline. Then let's start from this. But I don't think it will work like we set up our practice, then will be roll over around the world and everybody will pick up that.
So when you also talk about government just now, David, you know, even at the global level, a lot of international associations, not just ICA, you know, all our sister associations from OFI, AIPC, PCMA, ASAE, and so forth, we all are trying to speak with one voice through the Joint Meeting Industry Council or GMIC, you know, because associations, business event is our business. This is our industry. And we need to talk and we need to work with government. We need to get the mandate from the World Health Organization. What we've been, the narrative that we've been saying today is that we want government to understand that business events are not leisure travelers. That means that if you are traveling for an international exhibition or you're going for a regional conference, you are actually a registered delegate. That means far in advance, you can have your health being checked. You know, you can get some kind of exemption. I'm not sure that this is going to happen really soon or not, because I don't see any country are willing to open their borders blindly to anyone at the moment. But do you think that governments and around the world would make exemption to business event?
It's really hard to say, really hard to say. But, well, if you put it on the cases in Australia, you look at currently now, like even the states like New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, they fight each other. The governor fight each other. They say, some states say, I still want to close the border. And some states say, oh, you cannot. Like Queensland say, I won't close the border. New South Wales say, hey, the people need to go to your state for holiday. But probably I can see some hope. It's like, if you look at like Australia still try very hard to talk with New Zealand and see whether they can open the border between New Zealand first. So before I think the country can agree to open the border, I don't think the government will give special permission to like business traveler.
Thank you, David. How about Jessica? Do you see any governments, because you're dealing with a lot of convention bureaus, you see any governments are talking to try to break up the bubble?
I'm not in the position to comment on this, but I don't think it's difficult. I would say for example, for Taiwan, actually we have some restrictions about the foreigners to since I forgot which month to forbid foreigners to come to Taiwan because of the pandemic. But now since last month, a couple of weeks, we start to allow business travelers to come to Taiwan. But of course, you have to provide some like COVID-19 negative proof to enter, but you still have to do quarantine, just shorter time. However, we also have a big challenge from the country, from people, because people feel they don't feel safe, because they feel if once you open this like a small window, then it might be a break for the virus. Then maybe all your effort will be in vain. So for not only for Australia or for New Zealand, I think government are very mindful and very cautious about this. This kind of discussion never stops. I would say since the day one of the pandemic, state government, we talk about this topic all the time, but there is, until now actually, there's no any clue or because nobody can guarantee, say, once we open up this for business events, especially, who will take the responsibility and in consequence. So I reserve my comments about this, but I would say this kind of conversation is keep going in state government or all the bureaus. Yeah, we try to reopen the business, but of course the risk is still there. So we really worry about that. So we have to be very cautious about that.
Sorry to put you on spot, Jessica, but I think you are very diplomatic. You give the answer perfectly. You know, I think that's what it is. Time flies so fast. We almost come to an hour to end. I have one last question to all our panel, maybe in a short way to answer. The basic topic for today's conversation is what can we do better? Maybe if I ask every panel to give only one item, what can we do better? Anybody would like to start?
Yeah, we can only, as I mentioned before, and we'll say it over and over again, we can only work on increasing the confidence on our potential visitors and exhibitors to trust that the systems we're having in place to manage a venue and a show will be strong. And let me just, sorry, not short, add one more part, Noor, you didn't ask me about my idea on the traveling. My idea is absolutely very clear about that. Unless there is a fast COVID testing way, which can do it in 1 or 2 hours or something, which gives the governments the confidence that the people who come to their country are negative or positive and can be tracked. If there's no fast testing, I think now it still takes a couple of days. If that's not happening, traveling will not happen. That's my view. Thank you.
In fact, Michael, earlier on in your presentation, you talk about the event that you are currently having in your venue. For today alone, how many delegates are you having there?
Well, in our case, we don't say delegates, we say visitors. And
okay.
We have today, my guess today is 50,000, 50, 55,000.
That's a huge number, you know. Okay, thanks again, David. All the best to all the events, as Michael. And can I go to David?
Yeah, I think, well, my suggestion, can we do better, is like, we need to educate the people. Make the people remember the COVID-19 will last for maybe years. So keep good personal hygiene and use your smartphone and make sure people can chat you and keep social distance. That's basically all the Australian government asks the people to do.
Yeah. The word that just came out from you. Thank you, David. And Jessica, what can we all do better?
I think I would say is think about people, think about the world, or think about the interest of the whole industry before our own interest. Think about people. So it's like all about all the topics we mentioned, like about reopening, or think about people. Is it better to reopen now? Is it better to do this now? Not only for our own interest. Think about the world, think about the people, think about the safety before our own benefits, our own interest. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Jessica. You have put it so well to close the session. You know, we have to have the discipline, we have to educate, and we have to think people first. I think the safety is the primary thing. And on behalf of TTG and also ICA, and to all our speakers, Jessica Chang from Taipei, David Sun from Sydney, Michael Krupe from Shanghai, and my name is Noor from Kuala Lumpur. We thank you for listening and attending this session for the TTG Asia ITCM China show in Shanghai, which this year is going virtual. Stay safe, be happy, and hope to see you all one day. Cheers. Bye.
Yes, bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.